talk about Richard Strauss, whom you're about to get close to. Is it as necessary, as I've read that you've said, that to play a composer you should study the whole of music of the composer? Now, in a man like Strauss, is that necessary?
Absolutely necessary, yes. Because you know his language. Every composer writes in his own language. And I think his language should be understood completely. Now, completely doesn't mean every last bits of oddity, but certainly the major works and the more important of the minor works. And a conductor should know not only the works he conducts, but the works he doesn't conduct. He should know the songs, he should know the few bits of chamber music Strauss has written, and of course he should know all the operas and all the orchestral works of Strauss, and some of the choral pieces here.
I see. Also Strauss Zarathustra, what interests you still musically about it?
Everything.
I know that it was considered outrageous and astonishing when it first came in. We've come over several generations now to regard it as still fascinating, but we can take it in our stride. There's so much more modern music.
You know, authors and composers, they go and come back. They go into a certain decline, and then they come right back. Now, Strauss, in his youth, was unquestionably one very great composer. And Zarathustra belongs to the list of his works which are, I think it is a great piece of music. We don't have to measure everything by the Passion according to St. Matthew. Not everything needs to be utterly profound. And here I would like to say a word. Strauss was undoubtedly inspired by Zarathustra. I don't know how much of Nietzsche he read, but the beginning, the foreword of Nietzsche's Zarathustra, I'm sure had something to do with the composition. When Zarathustra was 30 years old, he left his home and went to the mountains to mature, to develop his mind. And 10 years later, he stepped one day before the sun and said, "You great star, what would you be if you didn't have those to whom you shine, to whom you give warmth and light?" And Zarathustra says, "I too, I am full of my wisdom. I must have people with outstretched hands." There is an overflow, and I think Strauss felt that this was what he was about at that time, an overflow of music. And I think the rest of the titles of Zarathustra needn't bother anybody at all, because
you don't have to take the philosophy too literally.
Not only this, but music and philosophy are very difficult to find any cross relation in this way. And if somebody read the 8 subtitles, which Strauss extracted from 80 subtitles of Nietzsche, they might find themselves put off or turned off, because music is to you what it says to you. It isn't necessarily so that this title of Strauss will evoke the right kind of picture in your mind. You should make your own picture and your own emotions.
Does it bother you that this work has become exceedingly popular? I mean, popular in the literal popular sense.
Not
2001, Elvis Presley used to use it as an entrance, I gather, for his concerts.
It doesn't bother me at all. First of all, the people who think it is so popular will be very much surprised that after the first 20 bars they won't know very much, because it's the first 20 bars which have become very popular and very commercial. I must also say something about the impishness of Strauss. You see, the work has one section, this is the one section I would like to talk about for a moment. It's called Of Science, and Strauss writes a fugue. And this fugue, you know, Strauss was one of the greatest manipulator with notes and tones, and he wrote a fugue which is a bit on the academic side. And of course he didn't have to write such an academic fugue. Evidently that was what he felt about the scientific musicians. He poked fun. Altogether, I once heard him conduct Zarathustra.
You did?
Oh, yes, in a rehearsal too. And he made very funny comments. A horn player said to him, Maestro, this passage you might be able to play on the piano. I can't play it on the horn. He said, you are mistaken. I can't play it on the piano either.
We're ready.
Now there's a great horn player, you see.
Yes.
Mr. Chambers. Will you excuse me?
Indeed, but of course. Thank you very much.
I'm paged elsewhere.
Yes, all right. Bye-bye.